Hey Ratbags, it's Jade. Today going over the latest news from Under a Rock. This is a game I've been hyped and excited for a few years now. I was one of the first people to show it off back in the day, and it's gone on to leaps and bounds. Of course though, when is it going to come out? That we still don't know. I've been putting it on my list thinking it's going to arrive eventually. This upcoming June is going to be 4 years since they first announced it. In hindsight, probably a little bit too early. Anyway, dev blog, lots of gameplay. I'm going to leave the uncut new footage at the end of the video so you can watch it all. Let's dissect stuff as well as the dev blog because it's got tons of new info. So they start off by listing that they're working more on polishing and expanding how the worlds are going to work. It is a procedurally generated game, so it's going to have all these unique biomes, and usually, by the looks of things, from like every gameplay clip I've seen, it seems to have a volcano as one of its centerpieces. A big aspect of Under a Rock though will be exploring caves, and yes, you can build in them. So they're calling something called epics. New epics were added across the world, including more corruption based epics, making exploration feel more distinct as you travel, and they've also added more starter points from where you actually start on the game. So the epics are these caves that are just a little bit more exciting and maybe prettier than just your regular ones. In fact, they've said that the caves have undergone a massive overhaul with new modules, entrances and NPCs. By the looks of things, there's going to be at least 6 different types of cave that you can explore: soft metal, ant hive, beehive, crystal, mushroom and generic cave types. They've made some of these caves longer so they won't just simply be one large room, and some of these caves will have the ant hives inside them, but that's pretty much it for creatures at the moment. They also big up the fact that they've had a bit of a rework on their underwater exploration. Lots of new creatures underwater and trying to smoothly navigate through the depths. Lakes are now swimmable both on the surface and underwater, complete with more visual effects. And this could be really cool. If they can manage to make some cave entrances that you can only access by swimming underwater, just to add a little bit more to that exploration. It's always hard to do underwater right in survival games. You've got things that are obviously centered around it, so that's the exception, like Subnautica. And you had games like Ark, which kind of relied on you having the right kind of creature to explore and find some of them caves, to go deep down and gather resources. And Grounded went more on the kind of puzzle route, accessing laboratories and only picking up a few minor resources. But it looks like they have refined their construction process. They are going to have individual tables for things like the research table, the blueprint table, a drying rack, stove, smelter, trinket table and an archery target. So that's all pretty bog standard for any survival game. I won't necessarily go through it and list all the things that it's going to do. The one thing of note I would say is the blueprint table, a central hub for blueprint capture, management and placement. That sounds pretty cool. Blueprints can be captured, named, saved and shared, and it'll all be synced through the Steam cloud. And that will be shared across your characters on the same account. Now that is really cool. Imagine you do, I don't know, a 20-hour run, really don't like where you've base built, or you just want to go ahead and start again. Maybe joining some friends. You'll be able to join another server or another game, and then simply go ahead and just place down your blueprint base build. Now, I'm guessing it's not going to be a case of transferring the base completely. Like, you still might have to go and gather resources, otherwise that'd be a bit too cheaty, being able to just take your whole base from one playthrough to a fresh brand new one. But I still love the idea that you can take your design at the very least. And the color coding, they've shown this off before, but if you're playing with others, you can literally tell people to prioritize on one color or someone takes care of them. And that's a really cool feature. And I guess the trinket table, yeah, I'll have to see how these go. I'm really pleased to see it's at least craftable. One of the big problems I've had in Grounded over the years has been the RNG about certain trinkets that you could access in their New Game Plus mode. It just became really frustrating to get a really great buff, and sometimes you would get 2 buffs or even 3 buffs on a trinket depending on what level you were in. And then the other buffs would be absolutely weak sauce. They did eventually add a crafting option, but you still couldn't really choose what kind of buffs you wanted on it. So even if these are set trinkets that you can simply just craft yourself, I still think that's better than RNG. Looks like you're going to be able to cozy up your house or make it even a scary place to be, as they're adding more items that you'll be able to place around. Creature parts displayed in your base, more backpack items that you'll be able to place. Cataloging and research. Now this is something, again, shows that they're probably still a bit away from an actual release, unless they really are just focused on getting the basic system in for early access, and then expanding it into other areas like they mentioned here: photography, missions, society, communication and rewards. But effectively, you'll craft a research table. You then can go ahead and research criteria and materia with Formulae and Curiosa coming later. And like a lot of other games, you fill up the blueprint for whatever you're researching with items and resources. And once you get completed research, you'll get rewards. Things like materia is pretty much going to be pretty simple, right? Find some glass or, I don't know, crystal, and bam, you've unlocked that entry. But with Cratera stuff, you may have to get more pieces, and maybe some of the rarer creatures might have more unique pieces that you have to get. They've added improved work on the journal, adding more visual indicators, as well as telling you exactly what's going on with research items and question marks about what you need to find. All this will hopefully turn exploration into your progress. And something that I was concerned about last year was combat, because we had not really seen any in the game, and I was so happy to see it's actually looking pretty good. Well, they're carrying on to refine it even still. Things like critical hits are going to be highlighted better, damage numbers fading out at distance, lots of collision detection improvements, and generally just making all of combat and maneuverability look a bit more natural. Looks like they've also bumped up the difficulty, or at least it changed some of the values, so that tier 1, tier 2 and 3 creatures all have their own, I guess, kind of identity in terms of how difficult they might need to be. Perfect parries are now slightly more forgiving. Enemies will properly wrap when you land one, making successful timing feel more impactful on both sides of a fight. And they have started on underwater combat, but it's something they're going to be improving over time. Bunch of new weapons have been added, and apparently done lots more balancing on a lot of these weapons. And I've got something called cursed weapons. These are going to be brand new ones, I guess, more rare and unique, like we saw with caves. Axe, spear, pickaxe, and then they've also got uncommon, rare and epic ogre clubs. Maybe they got some feedback about durability on death on items, so they've adjusted that. And just overall, general improvements to animation for blocking and parrying, as well as adding some maybe animations to taunt creatures. Looks like they're enhancing a lot of the environmental effects. So you get a warning phase, obviously, when you're too close to a heat source, and then you get a damage phase where it lights up. Yeah, pretty bog standard stuff. But what I like to see is rolling on the ground or being in the rain or swimming can reduce the duration of the burn effect. So the environment can actually help you if you accidentally walk on your campfire. Obviously, more stuff to do with water as well. Swimming, if you start running out of oxygen, you're going to obviously die. But I like the way that it seems that you're going to be taking damage over time compared to other games, again, like Grounded, where you almost die instantly. They've been working on lots more additional loot drops and, of course, lots of optimizations. And that's pretty much it. They leave with a tease talking about their taming and companion system they've been working on. And you know what? Good stuff. Definitely want to see a few more of these. But again, it all just depends on when they're actually releasing. Ideally, you don't want to necessarily go too deep with some of this if you really are going to be changing everything ahead of its release. So normally, when a developer starts actually posting more and more of this kind of stuff, it does mean they're gearing up for a release. But we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it's the first one in about 6 months. If we get another one next month and after that, then we might start getting a bit more hyped and excited about finally being able to play Under a Rock. And as promised, I'm going to leave the full devlog to run now so you can see it without any edits, clips, or any use of slightly older ones. And there you go. I'll see you soon for more news, Ratbags.